Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. I took your TV off.
Just a moment, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I apologize. Councilmember Irby? Here. Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Wassinger? Councilmember Gray?
Present.
Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember Tracus?
Present.
Councilmember Harder?
Present.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
I move for approval of the journal of the meeting of December 11th, 2018. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to suspend the rules for a special presentation.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, we have two resolutions.
Would you read first resolution, please?
Resolution number 1, introduced by council members Irby, Page, Walton, Gray, Dolan, Tracus, and Harder. Resolution, whereas Colleen Wassinger was first elected to the St. Louis County Council in November 2006 and was re-elected in 2010 and 2014. And whereas for 12 years, Councilwoman Wassinger has served the citizens of the St. Louis County Council's 3rd District, comprised of more than 140,000 residents throughout 20 municipalities in unincorporated St. Louis County with honor, distinction, and humility. And whereas during her tenure, Councilwoman Wassinger chaired the County Council's Committee on Procurement and Contracting, served on the following council committees: Public Improvements, Justice, Health and Welfare, Revenue and Personnel, Budget, Committee on Government Reform, Committee on Disabilities, and the Committee of the Whole. Voted on hundreds of pieces of county legislation, and above all else, endeavored to improve the welfare of the county through bills she personally authored or co-sponsored. And whereas Councilwoman Wassinger's most recent accomplishments include milestone legislation to improve the transparency and accountability of the county's procurement process and county boards and commissions. And whereas prior to her service on the council, Councilwoman Wassinger served as a trustee of the Huntington Farm subdivision and from 2005 through 2006 on the City of Town and Country Board of Aldermen. From 2005 through, and in fact, the city named her Person of the Year in 2006. And whereas Councilwoman Wassinger has also served her community through volunteer service as a member of the Board of Directors of Angels Arms, the St. John's Mercy Foundation, Women and Children Advisory Board, and the Community Advisory Board of Missouri Baptist Hospital. And whereas Councilwoman Wassinger has earned the respect of her colleagues on both sides of the political aisle for her judgment, her intellect, and her unyielding focus on putting the well-being of our county residents above all other interests, and whereas it is appropriate that the people of St. Louis County pause to appreciate their public servants, now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Louis County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the County Council expresses their deepest gratitude and appreciation to St. Louis County Councilwoman Colleen Wassinger, who has served the people of St. Louis County so admirably and honorably, and wishes her the very best in all her future endeavors.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wassinger, on behalf of the County Council, we do have a plaque that we would like to give you to remember us by and display prominently in your next on your next mission.
Thank you.
Should we go ahead?
Mr. Chair, did someone want to make a motion to adopt that resolution?
I move to adopt resolution number
Second.
1.
And I second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Irby?
Wow, all those good things. I guess when we leave, we can hear all those, the good judgment and the intellect and all of those things. But it holds true for you, Colleen. I'm going to miss you, and I'm not going to be too lengthy because I tend to get emotional. But you and I have been here a long time together, and I'm going to miss you. We hope to see you come and visit. Like we said, you come and visit and take part or listen to the meetings and observe the meetings, but we don't sign up to speak. Right.
Can I talk?
You cannot speak. So that I.
Thank you. Councilmember Page?
I've enjoyed working with you, Councilwoman Wassinger, but I've also learned a great deal, and it's been very nice to have your counsel as not only as a representative of your constituents, but as an attorney
It's provided us with a lot of value and a great value for the citizens of St. Louis County. So we wish you the best in your next step. I vote aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Go ahead. I think I'll abstain from. Want to look like a self-promoter.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes, of course, I haven't known you as long as this, but I have appreciated working with you. It has actually been a pleasure, although we're on different sides of the aisle, so to speak. Has been a different process than what I'm used to, working with someone on the other aisle. So I appreciate it, and I'm happy for you, but I'm sad to see you leave. Oh, aye. Sorry.
Councilmember Dolan?
If I don't say no, nobody will know who's voting here. I'll say aye, and for good reason, because I appreciate everything county has done. And when I first started, we had talked a lot of times. We passed a bill together. The farmers market legislation was something we did initially, but we both agreed that 99 or 95 at the time anyway % of the things that we were trying to accomplish here were nonpartisan. It was just common sense for the well-being of the county and our constituents. So I still agree with that, and I appreciate you sharing that thought. And it's been a privilege and a pleasure to work with you. And I wish you and your family well. You have a beautiful family, and hopefully you get to enjoy them on Tuesday nights. So thanks for all you've done. I already said aye.
Yes, you did, sir. Councilmember Tracus?
As is my pension, I have some prepared remarks I want to read into the record with the chairman's permission. More than 2 centuries ago, Benjamin Franklin warned us that only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. What are the characteristics that signal this virtue Franklin requires of us? Certainly temperance, self-restraint, plain speaking, honesty, duty, forbearance, humility, prudence, and of course courage are essential characteristics of virtue. I have witnessed every one of these values in Colleen Wassinger every week for 2 years that I've been here. Possession of these attributes is important, but how can and should these traits, this virtue, be of use? For some, like Councilwoman Wassinger, it means submerging one's will and personal interest into the greater good of the whole. It is a willingness to sacrifice goals and ambition for the good of the whole and the good of the community. Colleen Wassinger is a brilliant attorney who most certainly did not need to set aside the practice of her profession to serve the people of her community, but she has done just that. James Freeman Clark said, "A politician thinks of the next election. A statesman thinks of the next generation." Little could Clark have known how perfectly he described Colleen Wassinger. In the time I've come to know her, I've realized that in her 12 years on this council, Councilwoman Wassinger has focused on the long-term future of St. Louis County, always concerned with the long-term welfare of its residents. This is true patriotism, love of country and community. The reasoned, tempered, and insightful analysis she has brought to the issues, problems, and difficult decisions that have confronted this body will be sorely missed and not easily replaced. As her time as a member of this body ends, I am certain that her service to the residents of St. Louis County and our community will not. I have been honored to call Colleen Wassinger my colleague these past 2 years. I am blessed now to call her friend. All right, how about I?
Thank you.
Councilmember Harder?
I too want to express my appreciation for Colleen and her service to St. Louis County. A lot of you don't understand or don't see what's going on behind the scenes and her knowledge and her she has a ton of institutional knowledge that she's brought to this council. And for the newer ones on this council, we've been tutored by Colleen on what's happened in the last 5, 10, 15 years on this council, and she's brought that knowledge to us. And I appreciate that, and I too would agree to what Councilman Tracus said, plus I consider you my friend too.
Thank you.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, if you'll indulge me, Councilwoman Wassinger's first day as a St. Louis County Councilwoman was also my first day of employment with the council, so it's very bittersweet for me to announce that on resolution number 1, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Resolution number 1 is adopted.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I just say
Yes.
a couple? I too had prepared remarks. They're not as eloquent as Councilman Tracus's, but I just wanted to say a few things. As I reflect on my time in office, I'm grateful for many things. First and foremost, I am thankful to the voters of the 3rd District for allowing me to represent their interests for 12 years. It has been an honor and a privilege to be here. There have been good times and challenging times, but with each challenge, I believe we emerge stronger. I would be remiss if I did not thank the directors and professionals and all the employees of St. Louis County. They work tirelessly to make St. Louis County a good place to live, work, and play. I hope the council is able to find a way to get the employees that much-deserved merit-based pay raise. Finally, I'm grateful to my colleagues here on the council, Hazel, Sam, Rochelle, Pat, Ernie, and Mark, and those that came before you. I have learned a lot from each of you. Even though we all come from different backgrounds and experiences, I know that we all share the common goal of wanting to do good for our community and its people. I'm sure you all will continue to do just that in the years ahead, and my very best to each of you, and I look forward to our paths crossing again sometime in the near future.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have a second resolution.
Please read the resolution.
Resolution number 2, introduced by Councilmembers Erby, Page, Wassinger, Walton, Gray, Tracus, and Harder. Resolution, whereas Patrick Dolan, known to all as Pat, was first elected to the St. Louis County Council in November 2010 and was reelected in 2014. And whereas for 8 years, Councilman Dolan has served the citizens of the St. Louis County Council's 5th District with honor, distinction, and humility. And whereas during his tenure, Councilman Dolan chaired and served on numerous county council committees, introduced and voted on hundreds of pieces of legislation. And whereas prior to his service on the council, Councilman Dolan served with distinction on the Richmond Heights City Council for 8 years. And whereas in addition to his work in public service, Councilman Dolan is a proud second-generation member of Sprinkler Fitters Local 268, became the local's president in 2007, and although he retired as an active sprinkler fitter in 2015, he remains president today. And whereas in 2014, Councilman Dolan became the apprentice coordinator for the Missouri AFL-CIO, and in that capacity, he serves in the important role of the director of the Building Union Diversity Program and the Industrial Manufacturing Technician Program. And whereas Councilman Dolan's legislative accomplishments include milestone legislation related to non-discrimination, complete streets, the prescription drug monitoring program, as well as responsible bidder and anti-sweatshop provisions in the county's ordinances related to purchasing and contracting. And whereas Councilman Dolan has earned the respect of his colleagues on both sides of the political aisle for his judgment, his willingness to listen to constituents, and his unyielding focus on putting the well-being of our county residents above all other interests. And whereas Councilman Dolan has also served his community through volunteer service as a member of Guns and Hoses Committee, Backstoppers, the St. Louis County Drug Task Force, the Commercial Bank Advisory Board, and Missouri Network for Opiate Reform and Recovery, is a co-founder of the St. Louis County Police Athletic League, PAL, and currently serves as president of PAL's board of directors, and is equally committed to his church, Little Flower Catholic Church in Richmond Heights, which he served as a member of the parish council and as a coach for many years. And whereas above all else, Pat Dolan is a loving and devoted husband to his wife Jean and father to his sons Patrick and Christopher. And whereas it is appropriate that the people of St. Louis County pause to appreciate their public servants, now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Louis County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the County Council expresses their deepest gratitude and appreciation to St. Louis County Councilman Pat Dolan who has served the people of St. Louis County so admirably and honorably, and wishes him the very best in all his future endeavors.
I move for adoption of resolution number 2.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
I'd just like to say, Pat, thank you for the time that you've given to this council, and we've had some good times. We haven't always been like we are now. I can remember 4 or 5 years ago when Steve and I talked about the makeup of this council and how much we all appreciated one another, and the quality of council members that we had and the good people that were served on this council. And so I will always remember that, and I know you served your community well, your district well, and I'm going to miss you. We had more good times than we did disagreements, so I'm going to miss you very much, and I wish you the best.
Thank
you. And I vote aye.
Councilmember Page?
Well, Councilman Dolan, I will always recognize you as a passionate advocate for the things you believe in, and appreciate your help in the opioid epidemic and your leadership in our PDMP program here. I believe that the non-discrimination bill and the Complete Streets program are two important legacies that you should be proud of, and definitely wish you the best in your next step.
Thank you.
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Yes, I want to thank Pat also for his steadfast public service, not only on the council, but on the Richmond Heights Board. You are very active in your community, and I know you serve them extremely well and will continue to do so in the future. I've enjoyed working with you. You are a steadfast, as I said, in your issues that are very important to you, and I admire that and appreciate that, even though we don't always agree. You are professional, and I will miss working with you, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes, again, I have known you as long as the others, but you have always been very cordial to me, and I appreciated that. You stick to what you believe in, and that's what you do, like Colleen said. And I wish you best of luck in all of your future endeavors. I know it's going to be hard to leave, because when you do something for so long, I'm sure it's not easy to let it go. But just so you know, it was probably appreciated by your community, the things that you did do. And again, I appreciate the way you communicated with me, and how you stick to what you think is right.
Thank you.
Aye. I did it again then.
Councilmember Dolan?
No. I'll abstain. Thank you.
Councilmember Tracus?
Pat Dolan is a pro. By that I mean, many times we didn't agree, but you would never know it sitting up here. We always respected each other. He would always be willing to come to me with his position. I've learned a lot from him. The thing that comes to mind, and I told him this the other day, people admire courage and conviction for a reason. Because not many people have it. And Pat is a guy that is willing to stand by his convictions. He's proven that certainly time and again from this dais. And Pat, you leave with a legacy to be proud of. It was an honor to work with you, and you will be missed. I vote aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Yeah, I too want to express my appreciation for Pat, and appreciate his help on the drug task force and the drug courts here in St. Louis County. Without his leadership, they would not be in a good place that they are today. And he helped me with my Veterans Court and getting that set up, and that's kind of an offshoot of the drug courts. And he was very supportive of that, and I appreciate that. And Pat and I worked on a number of different bipartisan pieces of legislation dealing with auditing and auditors and bridges and the drug court and the Veterans Court. And I appreciate that help, and he's always been there to lend his hand where he could. And he will be sorely missed. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Mark.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, again, very bittersweet to announce that on resolution number 2, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Resolution number 2 is adopted.
I really didn't prepare anything, which is, those of you who've been around all this time know I typically don't. And then you kind of wonder where I'm gonna go with anything, and I do as well, so we're all the same on that. I remember my dear sweet grandmother used to always say, if you don't have anything good to say about anybody, let me hear it. But that's not the case. I have nothing but gratitude, just to be in this position, to work with this council and other council members and 2 county executives and their staffs, regardless of how things go all the time. You'll see arguments about certain things, but 10 things were passed before that. So we do get some things done, or a lot of things done. The people I've got to meet just in this position out in the community is what really stands out to me. I enjoy being out in the community and did a lot of it because I wanted to. So I appreciate all those people I got to meet and make friends with. But most importantly, the staff, Jen and Diane and Norm and Chris and everybody who's, we all work with here. All the departments, all the county employees, as Colleen said, obviously we understand, or I do, the position you're in, but you're still there, you're loyal, and you're very good at your jobs. All the department heads I've worked with have always been there to help me. Peter, thank you for always being there to help me, and Pat Reddington as well. When she was there, the county counselor was always somebody I had to lean on a lot because that was their job, and they knew what to do, and they could guide me, and then they have for years, so I appreciate that. And again, all the department heads, my family, of course, my wife was very patient to all the time I would spend. It's just, we do meet weekly, and people really don't understand the commitment that everybody up here puts into this. You see us once in a week or whenever you come, but that's a daily commitment, and you have to have good family support. I would think everybody agree with that, so thank you there. But again, because it is a daily commitment, Patrick Mulcahy, my assistant, has done a phenomenal job, and so did Eric Fay before him. Could not do it without them. That's who, when you call from the 5th District, you're probably going to hear from him or Eric or before him. And I appreciate it, so thank you. So thank you all.
Pat, we also have a plaque for you to display prominently at your next opportunity. Thank you. Okay, we have no bid openings this evening, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, we have no tax compromises this afternoon, so we'll move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, 6th District.
Receive and file, please.
So ordered.
Item number 2, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Moving on to road and bridge matters, Mr. Chair, item number 1, all districts.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
And, Mr. Chair, moving on to other communications, item number 1.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 2, and that will be the order.
Item number 3.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 9, and these orders will be discussed at the end of the meeting. So ordered.
Item number 10.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
Item number 11, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 12, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th Districts.
Receive, file contract in an amount not to exceed $569,445.43 be approved and awarded to Gerstner Electric, Inc. the lowest responsive bidder as recommended, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 13, first, second, third, fourth, and seventh districts.
Receive, file contract in an amount not to exceed $315,402.89 be approved and awarded to Meyer Electric Company, the lowest responsive bidder as recommended, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 14, first, fourth, and fifth districts.
Receive, file contract in an amount not to exceed $626,888.69 be approved and awarded to TGB Inc., the lowest responsive bidder as recommended, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 15, third district.
Receive, file, contract in an amount not to exceed $466,191.91 be approved and awarded to TGB Inc., the lowest responsive bidder, as recommended, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 16, sixth district.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, please.
So ordered.
Item number 17, sixth district.
Same motion,
So ordered.
Item number 18, sixth district.
same motion, Mr. Chair.
So ordered.
Item number 19, seventh district.
Mr. Chair, you can go ahead and change the 20% change order to 5%, and then we'll receive and file. The county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation with those changes.
So ordered.
Item number 20.
This is an appointment, and I will move to hold on the order of business, and we'll have hearing after the first of the year, and that will be the order.
Item number 21, fourth district.
Receive, file, and appointment be approved as requested.
Second.
Councilwoman Gray, if you don't mind, I know we didn't talk about this, but I'd like to have a hearing after the first of the year and hold
both
this one.
of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was
Sorry.
gonna hold the second, but that's fine. We can hold both.
Do you know the first person?
Yes.
Does anyone
But-
have,
Just to be,
if there's no, it's a little bit out of order, but if everyone's agreeable, if you know this person, I would be happy to move it along.
no, that's fine. We'll have a hearing on both. That's
Okay.
gonna be-
Then the motion is to hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 22, fourth district.
Hold as well.
So ordered.
Item number 23, sixth district.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
No add-ons this afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Report of the county executive, report. Report special committee,
Please hold on the order of business.
so ordered. Public forum.
We have 9 speakers this afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Please come to the podium when your name is called and adjust the microphone so we can capture your remarks and give your name and address for the record. And please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes per speaker.
First speaker this afternoon is Carol Bader.
Mr. Chair, can I make
Yes.
comments before, just real brief?
Oh, it's you.
Oh.
It'd be very brief.
Yeah, we'll recognize her.
It's hard to find out.
Get her up here.
She's in my district.
So all 4 of the appointments are from your district?
Before you start the timer, Councilman Dolan would like to say something?
I apologize, I meant to mention this in my brief remarks. Again, I didn't have them written down. I did want to acknowledge Chief Fitch and Lisa Clancy, who are coming in on the council. Wish them good luck with the new council. And, if there's anything we can do to help you, all right, can't let me know. But, and thanks to to our internationally accredited police department for all you've done to keep us safe in our community. I appreciate all you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. First speaker.
Carol Bader.
Good afternoon. My name's Carol Bader, and I live in Kirkwood, Missouri. I am a deputy juvenile officer with the St. Louis County Juvenile Office, and I am also the director of Child Protective Services. I've been a county employee for 15 years. Many of my colleagues have spoken to you on various other nights about the work of the employees of the St. Louis County Juvenile Office and the Family Court. They've described for you the heavy workloads, the seriousness of our cases, and the various public safety issues related to our jobs. It's a difficult line of work, but the truth is that we do these jobs because we have a passion for kids and families. Of course, you know this is true because no one would go to work every day to hear stories about 4-year-olds being beaten to death, 2-year-olds being sexually abused, 14-year-olds being thrown out of the house because they don't get along with mom's boyfriend, or 13-year-old girls being trafficked. Unless you have a passion for that job and those people. But this passion does not start and end with DJOs. It's a passion that's shared by every employee of the juvenile office and the family court, from the clerical staff to the human resources to the operations staff and beyond. Every employee is committed to the mission of the organization and the welfare of children and families of St. Louis County. The fact is that DJOs could not do their jobs without the support and commitment of these employees. Their contribution to the work of the juvenile office and family court is essential. As you've heard from other speakers, turnover is a serious issue for the juvenile office and the family court. There has been significant turnover in the Child Protective Services Department in recent years, primarily due to staff moving on to better paying jobs. Turnover in other departments, such as clerical, is also high. Staff leave for better paying jobs almost as soon as they've been trained for the jobs for which they've been hired. Those who stay often work another job to help support themselves and their families. I actually held a second job for several years. The burden of working a high-stress job and then going on to a second job to help support a family is a heavy one, and the toll on staff is difficult, and physically and mentally. At this time, the courts are the only public safety department that has not received a pay increase. Please show your support for the dedication and hard work of these employees by supporting the requested pay increase from Prop P funds as submitted in our 2019 budget. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the employees of the St. Louis County Juvenile Office and the Family Court.
Thank you, Carol.
Next speaker is Barbara Kelly O'Neill.
Good afternoon. I'm a family therapist of the Family and Clinical Services Department of the Family Court. Against my better judgment, I'm going to start by saying that the last time I stood in front of a crowd to speak was my mother's eulogy, and I'm truly hoping for a more positive outcome this time. I've been with the court for 16 years. It has been the most challenging and gratifying work of my career. Also, I work with incredibly dedicated people throughout the family court. Very briefly, the Family and Clinical Services is a small department. We have 4 psychologists, 3 family therapists, and detention counselors. We deal with highly complex issues with a clientele that does not want to be here and who may be suspicious of our connections to the court. But we have the reputation of being able to join with individuals and families and to provide them with services not easily found in the community. Our psychologists conduct psychological evaluations of youth, involved in the delinquency process, in which answer questions such as whether or not a youth needs a residential treatment program to address underlying mental health problems, the level of risk a youth may pose to the community or himself, and if youth are competent to understand legal proceedings and aid in their own defense. Family therapists provide family, individual, and group treatment services and counseling to youth and families referred by the family court staff and judiciary. These clients include those referred for delinquency, sexually harmful youth, and custody disputes. Excuse me. Our approach to our work is collaborative and solution-focused. We hear all points of view, identify strengths, and help family members solve problems. We see clients anywhere, satellite offices, in the community, in their homes, and we work evenings and some weekends to accommodate people's work schedules. We also are in neighborhoods that are kind of sometimes scary. We work closely with our referral sources, such as deputy juvenile officers, to provide our clients continuity of care. Detention counselors conduct risk assessments on every youth admitted to the detention center and provide supportive counseling to help them remain stable while in their care. They also provide programming on the units to teach topics about substance abuse, communication, problem solving, and trauma. Detention mental health therapists are available 365 days a year. I'm here to ask the County Council to consider Judge Beach's request and add it to our budget. I know that my family court colleagues who have spoken before me described the increasing difficulties we face in attracting, recruiting, and retaining well-qualified staff. You also heard many of us work second and third jobs in order to pay our bills and maintain the security of our families. What I want you to know is that the family court is not only comprised of distinctly separate departments with separate duties. We are a family, and as dysfunctional as it may appear at times, we respect and rely on each other to provide the best services we can to the citizens. Last sentence. As a whole, we are committed to taking care of the people we serve. Please consider taking care of us. Thank you.
Next speaker is Azora Liggins.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
We're going into the close of a new year. I'm really kind of disappointed that I had to come and stand before you. I still haven't gotten my situations resolved, and with much regret, I've now had to go before the courts to file a simple lawsuit for the prosecuting attorney's office to come forward and just explain why my charges have not been properly handled. And I think that this council needs to look at this very closely, especially in the light of the budget. And I didn't attend last Tuesday, but I did watch, and I saw Councilwoman Irby when she spoke to the fact that so many people are making extraordinary amount of money. And in this office, this assistant is making $80,000 plus to actually infringe upon our rights. And I think that this council needs to look closer when a taxpayer has to simply take an assistant in the prosecuting attorney's office to court just to find out why the charges or what course the charges have taken. So when you're rethinking the budget, you should rethink the work, and you should look closer at these people who are being given $80,000, $100,000 to see what their production is, because these people that I hear from, they have something to say. And I think that 40, 50, 70,000 would work fine for them. But for a person that sits at a desk that withholds us from our civil rights, that should be questioned. And his duties should be questioned immediately. So hopefully I'll keep you guys up to speed on how this goes, because this is where our tax dollars go, to pay the prosecuting attorneys and their assistants. So I hope you stay vigilant. Thank you.
Thank you, Zara.
Next speaker is Matt Lavasi.
I'm Matt Livesey with the Human Resources Department of St. Louis County Circuit Court. I pursued employment with St. Louis County in 2012 because of its solid reputation. I heard about the benefits, merit increases, cost of living, salary adjustments, and overall, just how well the county takes care of their employees. At the time, I was brought on board as a deputy juvenile officer, fully committed to providing services to youth and families to the absolute best of my ability to ensure community safety. For 6 years, my performance evaluations communicated to me that I am a valuable employee. However, each year there is one recurring sentence that forces me to reassess my future. It reads, a merit increase would be recommended, however, an increase is not available due to budgetary constraints. Historically, employees were eligible for merit increases ranging from 0 to 7.5% based on their performance. If my evaluations were sound in their assessment, I may have been eligible to receive the 7.5% each year as justified by my performance, but to be modest, let's say hypothetically, I received a 5% increase each year that I've been employed. That would have raised my entry-level salary as a newlywed in 2012 by $14,000 over the course of the last 6 years for the now father of two standing before you. We will end in 2018 with a record 34 employees separating from employment. The cost of recruiting and training a new employee costs between $30,000 to $45,000 annually. That means that the potential cost to fill these 34 vacancies ranges from $1.02 to $1.5 million annually. Should this upward trend in the turnover rate continue into 2019 and beyond, we can expect upwards of $2 million annually spent from general revenue for this purpose alone. I believe our staff held on to the hope that raises would be reinstated and that they'd eventually be provided adequate compensation. Today, as evidenced by several exit interviews, the hope has degraded for many into an unsettled resentment. People are taking jobs elsewhere with better pay, and we are having trouble hiring new employees because not only are we now asking for 4% of their salary to go toward their pensions, but employment through St. Louis County, I fear, may be losing its magnetic reputation. Please help me become closer to being the provider I strive to be for my family, because today I am falling short. Please help bridge the financial gap of the $14,000 a year merit increase I have worked doggedly to earn over the last 6 years but never received. Help give me the option to quit my part-time job so I can be refreshed and able to give myself completely to the work I am passionate about here at the court, and my time off work to be the present husband and father my family needs. Please help us retain our talented staff and cease the exodus of employees by restating hope, by passing and implementing the Prop P initiative into the budget for county employees of the St. Louis County Court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jennifer Hoffman.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Hoffman, and I'm a resident of University City. I am one of 9 attorneys who represent the juvenile officer in the family court of St. Louis County. On a daily basis, I work with many dedicated staff who ensure the safety and well-being of youth in our community. In the last several weeks, you've heard from multiple staff members, including today, regarding our important work. Today, I wanted to come and spend my few minutes with you describing the work we do with our delinquent youth, or our youth who commit crimes in our community. Our cases deal with every level of offenses, from trespassing to armed robbery and murders. More of the latter than I think most realize. These crimes are occurring all over our county and affecting victims of all ages and backgrounds. As attorneys, we review police reports, we respond directly to detectives and the police working on these cases, we file the appropriate legal motions, and we see these cases through trial and through the dispositional phase, or our sentencing phases of these cases. The entire mission of the juvenile court is to help these youth, to provide them with the treatment and resources so that they do not become perpetrators in our adult criminal justice system or end up incarcerated, so that our community is safer. We are on call 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. The subject matter of the work that we do and deal with every day is emotionally taxing. But all of us, myself included, come to work every day and work much more than what is expected of us because we are passionate about this work and truly care about the children and the mission that I just spoke about. I began my employment with St. Louis County in May of 2016, when multiple attorneys left, and 5 new attorneys, including myself, came on board. Turnover at any level requires onboarding and training. It delays cases from moving forward and leaves our already overworked staff even more so. We cannot afford to lose the talented, highly educated staff that we currently have. Our legal department has a wealth of experience, including former prosecuting attorneys, former Children's Division attorneys, former public defenders, and former guardian ad litems. Relevant experience is common among all of the staff at the family court and creates a depth of knowledge and skill that's priceless. A positive morale for our staff fosters hard work and dedication to our mission. It ensures that we do not lose additional staff. I'm respectfully requesting that the council approve pay raises for our staff. Investment in our staff is an investment in our community and the youth and families that we work with every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Alexis Taylor.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Alexis Taylor, and I'm here as a team member from the Step Above St. Louis Coalition, and we are here in support of Ordinance 270 to make the possession of vapes in our schools illegal for teens. And recently, I had the privilege to go to a national conference training, and we got to speak to hundreds of different kids that are fighting the same problem as us in our schools, because kids are using the school as an outlet to buy and sell and use these devices, because it is a growing epidemic, but not only in our community, but in communities all over the place. And we're just trying to lead and make a change, and we think that this ordinance won't necessarily scare them or criminalize them, but just make them more aware and help them, and we hope that we can continue to make a change and lead, and that this will help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexis, before you go, how old are you?
Yes. I am 14.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told a young man last week, that it's great to have you here. It's great that you're engaged. I quoted Benjamin Franklin earlier. Franklin also told us that we have a republic if we can keep it. What you've just done is part of that. So I want you to stay at it. Okay? Like I told the young man last week, I can't promise you what the outcome of this bill will be, but I can promise you that your voice was heard. So I want you to stay engaged from now until you have grandchildren and beyond, okay, with government, because it's the only way that we can keep our freedoms and liberties and keep our republic. So kudos to you. One last question.
Yeah.
Have you encountered people using Juul products and vape products in school?
Yeah, I've had personally my friends, people that are close to me that use them. They just don't take the precautions seriously. So we think that this will help out a lot.
Okay, and I just state for the record that this week, Mr. Chairman, the Juul company itself banned the use of its own product in its offices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Colonel Gregory.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Kenneth Gregory. I live in North St. Louis County, and I'm a lieutenant colonel with the county police department and deputy chief. And I've been employed by the county for 39 years. And I can only tell you the number of times that I wished I had a two-man car on calls that I responded to. And that's just what I wanted to speak with you about today. Less than a month ago, we had a female officer stop a suspect on the street. As she got out of her car to approach him, he surprised her with a hit to the face, knocked her down to the ground, almost knocked her unconscious. He jumped on top of her and began to wrestle with her. She could hardly wrestle back because she was, as I said, almost unconscious. He grabbed what he thought was her weapon. And as she was on the ground, he pointed the weapon at her and attempted to use it. He couldn't use it because it was her taser. For that reason, he dropped it and he ran away. It's our sincere belief that two officer cars will increase the safety of our officers out there. If she'd have had someone with her that day, that probably would not have happened. 2 officer cars are better to send to violent calls that are in progress. They provide greater visibility. They help deter crime and disorder and provides an opportunity for new officers to learn from veteran officers. Assaults on law enforcement have decreased with 2-man cars. The use of force incidents have decreased because of 2-man cars. I don't know if you all remember Joanne Liscombe. Joanne was killed in 1991 when she stopped a suspect on the street. I believe today that Joanne would still be alive if she had a partner with her. Same way with Blake Snyder in 2016 when he responded to a call. Had he had a partner with him, I doubt very seriously that Blake would be gone today. We memorialize him every year. I don't think that we would be doing that if they had a partner with them. So I, along with my coworkers, urge you to listen to the voters of St. Louis County who spoke loud and clear about Proposition P. Please recognize that we need the 2-man cars to ensure the safety of our officers out there and the citizens that we serve. That is one of the biggest initiatives that Chief Bellmer is pushing for 2-man cars, and we need the money to do that. I want to thank you for your time and your consideration. Appreciate it.
Colonel Gregory?
Yes, sir.
After listening to your presentation, I get the impression that you believe that the council is against 2-man cars.
I don't believe that you are. I would believe that as citizens of St. Louis County, I would believe that you would encourage 2-man cars.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We support 2-man cars.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sherlisa Pruitt. Sherlisa Pruitt. Then final speaker this afternoon is Matt Grisilius.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, your claim is that the proposed budget cuts to the police department are about numbers. Let's talk about some numbers. The 50 positions that you want to cut are almost exactly equal to the last piece of the puzzle that we need to have a permanent 2-officer car program. This is one of the 4 main promises of Prop P made to the voters and the officers. We have numerous officers' pictures that hang on our memorial walls that would be alive today if they were in a 2-officer car. Prop P revenues are about $5 to $6 million over projections. So why are we cutting $4.8 million? Where is this money going? You're using the Prop P funds to shore up the general revenue so you don't have to dip into the reserves. How is this not supplanting? What pet projects are you getting ready to introduce next year using these Prop P funds? Councilwoman Gray, you have been holding a bill for months for $7,000 that would move part of the unused ShotSpotter system to an area that desperately needs it. We had close to 1,700 calls last year for ShotSpotter. It requires 2 officers to answer those calls. If we had another system, similar in size to the current system, which I think everyone agrees is a good idea, that would double the amount of manpower that's already takes to answer those calls, thusly generating almost 7,000 calls a year. So why are we cutting 50 positions? Not to mention the new system would cost nearly $500,000 a year to maintain. 3 years in a row now, 3 years, St. Louis County has set a new record for homicides. While the rate is decreasing across the nation, ours continues to climb. More officers are needed in the areas that are afflicted with these horrible tragedies, and this cannot be done without fulfilling the Prop P promises. Again, why are we cutting 50 positions? You claim it's because the chief said they cannot be filled. Those words were never uttered. You said there are over 101 openings. You're either blatantly misleading the public or you need to check your math, because that is not true. This council either needs to have another meeting at the end of next week to fix this horrible decision, or immediately introduce and perfect a bill restoring these positions and funds. You owe it to our victims of violent crime, you owe it to the officers on the street, and you owe it to the public that passed Prop P. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more speakers, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Gray.
I don't know if you saw, I think it was last week, I was going to pass that bill, but I was asked to hold it by other council members. So I was glad to go ahead and pass that bill last week, but was asked to hold it. And also been in communication with the chief on ways to go ahead and move the bill, but I still was going to go ahead and move it even though I hadn't heard back from him about the situation that I was concerned about with regards to that bill. But I was planning on moving it last week, and it was held, but not by my request.
I think everyone wants to see the ShotSpotter services provided where the chief wants them. Our difference of opinion is taking them away from where they're currently provided. And we hope to get that worked out so we can have the ShotSpotter services in all the places that need them in North St. Louis County. I hope we get that worked out soon. I, for one, do believe that the Prop P funds, public safety funds, are eligible to provide support to our family court system. I believe that is a public safety service that's provided by the county, as are our county attorneys and the county counselor's office. And I hope to continue the conversation about the responsible way to use public safety funding. I am disappointed that the discussion of available police positions doesn't include the separations that have been processed in 2018 and can be anticipated in 2019. I'm disappointed that our police department would imply that the council is not supporting two-man cars. It's clear to all of us that the positions to hire all the police officers that you can find are there. And if you need more police officers, let us know, and we'll be there to provide the funding. That's all I had to say.
Yes, I forgot to.
Councilwoman Wassinger.
Yes, I'd like to just say a few comments. I made some prepared remarks. I do appreciate Mr. Casilius' passion on the issue. I share the passion, and these decisions are not easy that are put before us. I think it's important to point out that policing in our community is one of the most important duties of our government, and we have a top-rated police department here in St. Louis County that do an outstanding job for our residents, and I fully expect that they will continue to do that under the guidance of Chief Belmar. But policing is not the only function in county government. There are many other functions of county government too, such as roads, bridges, health department, taking care of our parks, just to name a few. I think it's important to point out a few facts. From 2010 to 2016, excuse me, police department spending has risen $20 million or 22%. Police overtime pay has not yet gone down and is expected to come in again around $7 million as it has for the past 3 years. Why is this the case if we are hiring more officers? I would fully expect that that number will go down. In 2015, the police were given a well-deserved raise, but representations were made at that time that there would be costs cut to pay for those raises, or a new source of revenue would be found. Well, we now have that new source of revenue, which is Prop P. I bring these issues up not to point fingers, but to point out that we in county government are not one department, but a team of people that work together to meet our obligations and responsibilities to the community. We cannot solve this general revenue department problem without also taking a look at the police department, which funds over 50%, or which takes over 50% of our general revenue fund. The discussion today revolves around the police department budget because it is funded out of the general revenue fund. This fund has been deficit spending for the last 5 years and is set to run out of money. After the passage of Prop P in 2018, the police department was appropriated approximately $146 million with the intent on hiring 117 officers, which I fully support and will continue to fully support. Year to date, they have spent approximately $115 million and hired net 35 new officers out of the desired 117. As a result, the council is proposing to fund the 53 police officer positions, and the question really is merely, why do we need to fund positions that are not going to be filled in 2019? If the need arises for additional positions to be filled, there's a mechanism to allow that. I had the chance to meet with Chief Belmar to discuss this issue. I was glad to hear that he wants to meet with us to find cost savings where we can, so we can run more efficiently and save money. We need each and every department to take a good hard look at what they fund, ask the question, is it essential? Ask, can we do it better for less money? And how can we do that? I have a feeling this discussion is headed towards a request for a property tax increase sometime in the future. In my humble opinion, we cannot in good faith even consider that request until we have looked at how we are spending in every program. I encourage the next council, and I know Chief Fitch is here in the audience today. I fully expect him to have a strong opinion on this issue and to try to work with us to come up with a solution as to how we can make an informed decision about how best to proceed.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilwoman Gray.
I did forget to add this section. As mentioned, there's a process and procedure in place, whereas more police officers can be hired. I did mention that actually in my interview the other day, but that was not brought to the public's attention. We in no way intend to not go through with what the public had asked for when we presented Prop P last year in the budget. There will be several retirements. Those people can be replaced. There's overtime. Actually, Prop P asked for the additional hire of prosecuting attorneys and COs. There were a lot of things that were requested in Prop P that I personally spoke against. One was purchasing the two new precinct buildings. However, the police officers wanted that, and so I voted for it because you guys asked for that. But there are a lot of things. There's unprogrammed money. What else are we going to spend money on other than police officers? Yes, the public wanted to increase safety. And yes, the public wanted to give raises, and that's what we did. We gave raises, but we have not seen implementations and other programming to increase public safety, such as the purchase of additional shot spotters. It's just something that I'm more familiar with. But other things I'm sure that can be done in the community. There are some issues going on in the police department that have come to before us that also need to be addressed. But I still want to reiterate, there's no way that we would not be in support of two-man cars for both the public safety and the safety of you officers. So I did want to say that as well.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say I concur with every word of Councilwoman Wassinger's statement. And I'd only like to add to that this body has many duties, not just the ones mentioned by the witness or the speaker. And one of the most important is the fiduciary duty this body has to be good stewards of taxpayer funds. That's what we're trying to do. And as Councilwoman Wassinger said, we have many issues confronting us in many departments that we've had to look at. So it's not about not being in favor of two-man cars or anything else. This is about good fiscal management of county resources. Thank you.
Just real briefly, within any department, when they bring it to us, their budget or any concerns, I've always relied on the expertise and the knowledge of the department heads and the people in the departments Because that's what they do. When they make a request, it's because they know what they do. I'm not an expert in the policing or transportation or health department or anything else. So I rely on the information given to us, which we have been presented with information, which I think might clarify if there is a misunderstanding of numbers. I think there's been an explanation given to us, so I would think that maybe we'd readdress this budget issue with the police department based on the information we've received from the people who know best how to run their department. That's it.
This concludes our public forum. Please proceed with introduction of bills.
Bill number 336, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant from the curators of the University of Missouri St. Louis of up to $1,010,015, appropriating funds received for reimbursement of expenses incurred from participation in the Safety and Justice Challenge Initiative, and authorizing execution of related documents. Bill number 337, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute 10 contracts for external review proposals made to the Children's Service Fund related to the core funding cycle for 2020 through 2022. Bill number 338, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance declaring the public necessity of and providing for establishing of a section of public road designated as Hickey Road, lying wholly within the city of Marlboro, St. Louis County, Missouri, directing the acquisition of real property therefore, and authorizing the county executive to execute contracts, agreements, and related documents, AR-1715. Bill number 339, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray, an ordinance amending Chapter 202, Title II, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974 as amended, Personnel Classified Service, by repealing and reenacting Section 202.360 pertaining to adoption of pay ranges.
7.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
8 and 9. It's to cover salaries.
Bill number 340, introduced by Councilmember Tracus, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with Highlands Properties LLC for purchase of 5 lots totaling approximately 7.28 acres for construction of a new police precinct number 3 facility, and appropriating $3,400,000 of Proposition P funds from the unappropriated balance of the general fund in support of said purchase, and authorizing execution of necessary documents related to the purchase. Bill number 341, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with MGT of America Consulting LLC for consulting services involving the Central Service Cost Allocation Plan and indirect cost rate. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection.
Bill number 202, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold. Bill number 202 will be held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 208, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I believe we still need to hold this.
We're still having that conversation.
Yes. So we still need to hold based on last week's conversation, and still waiting for information from the Chief Bellman.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 208 will be held.
Bill number 256, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to drop Bill number 256. This is bill related to a pay rate structure that we can reconsider after the first of the year.
Bill number
256 is
258.
dropped. Yes, go ahead.
Bill number 258, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
Move to perfect Bill number 258.
Second.
All
Sorry. I didn't know that. Language on it.
all in favor of perfection of Bill number 258? Say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. Let's roll call that.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
I'm gonna vote no on this, but it's my understanding that they put something on the website already.
That was our understanding as well, but according to,
Okay. Yeah, I vote. I think it's already there. I just don't think it's necessary.
Councilmember Gray?
aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
No.
Mr. Chair, on the motion to perfect Bill number 258, there are 4 ayes and 3 noes.
On Bill number,
Wait, go ahead.
Bill number 258 is perfected.
And yes, if it turns out it is on the website, then I'll drop the bill.
Okay, thank you.
Bill number 270, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger for Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill number 270 will be held, and we anticipate hearing on this after the first of the year.
Bill number 327, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold 327, and 327 will be held.
Bill number 328, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 328.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 328 is perfected.
Bill number 329, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
We're expecting some changes to this, to the language, and the terms of this lease. But, I will go ahead and perfect it with, the intent that those changes be made prior to finally passing.
Second. All in favor of perfection of 329?
Aye.
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 Are we 28?
Perfecting something that's gonna be changed? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
She said.
The sub bill is gonna be, well, the lease will be changed. Actual
Well,
lease.
I don't know what I'm voting on then, if it's something that, this isn't what we're gonna be voting on?
We have on occasion perfected bills that
I don't mind.
are likely to be changed.
I was
but
just curious.
If you want to hold the
And
bill.
I'm sure it's fine, but what is it?
I was trying to move it on based on the fact that the county wishes that it be, approved. But I would hold the bill personally, but, since the county would like for it to go ahead and to move, I was gonna go ahead and move it with the intent that it be, that the terms. In other words, it has a 5-year lease with 3 annual renewals, and we've kind of talked about not doing those extended leases. That's really the only change that's gonna be made. But it's up, I don't mind holding it.
Well, I'm not gonna be voting on it next time. I was just curious what it actually is I'm voting on. I mean,
Well, it's a good question, and if you want to ask the bill sponsor to hold the bill, she's
well, she can
indicated
do
that
it.
she will.
I'll just abstain because I don't have the information I think I need to make a
Let's
decision.
just hold the
Okay.
bill. We'll just hold it.
Okay. Motion is to hold, and Bill 329 will be held.
Bill number 330, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 330.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 330 is perfected.
Bill number 331, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for perfection of bill number 331.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 331 is perfected.
Bill number 332, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 332.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 332 is perfected.
Bill number 333, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to perfect Bill number 333, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 333 is perfected.
Bill number 334, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 334.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain.
Bill number 334 is perfected.
Bill number 335, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I move to perfect Bill 335. What do you want?
It's irrelevant now. I'd hold it.
We'll hold it, because we had a sub bill for this one as well. So we'll hold it.
Bill 335 is held. Final passage.
Mr. Chair, before we go to final passage, I'd like to ask the council, I have some things I want to say. And they have to do with
Can I ask a question while you're
Sure.
looking, Ernie? What happened to the sub bill? 335.
Don't know what the status is, all the bills that you've requested on that, and sub-bills and changes and amendments have been provided.
Councilman Tracus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to go back to introduction of bills, specifically Bill 340. This is a bill to authorize the county executive to enter a contract for the construction of a new police precinct in precinct number 3, new police station. No secret that the contracting surrounding this construction is mired in some legal disputes involving the Port Authority at this time. And so the purpose of the bill is to allow the executive to enter into that contract when the Port Authority contract lapses at the end of this month. I don't think anyone more than Councilman Dolan and myself understand the importance and the need of a new precinct station at precinct number 3. Captain Webb is here tonight. I know she feels that way. I'm sure the chief does. I've spoken to him about it. So I would ask that we suspend the rules at this time, Mr. Chair, and vote to perfect Bill number 340.
Second. But do you need to advance it to the perfection of the business?
All in favor of suspension of the rules to consider, what's the bill number?
So do I have to move to advance it to the perfection part of the agenda?
To suspend the
Motion to
rules
suspend the
first.
rules first, Mr. Chair.
For what's the bill number again?
340.
340. Suspend the rules to consider Bill 340 on the perfection calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill 340 is on for perfection. Councilman Tracus.
Before I move for perfection, Mr. Chair, I just would like to say that, as I've said already, this council, Mr. Dolan and myself in particular, understand the importance of this station. The entire council is supportive of it. And this is being done because we understand that importance. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that people up here support the police. We're not against you. Regardless of what people may tell you, regardless of what you think we're trying to do with the budget. As I've said, we have a fiduciary duty to the people of St. Louis County that covers a lot of different areas, this being one of them. And despite the fact that it's a $3.4 million deal, that the easy thing to do would be to sit here and do nothing, let the contract lapse. But specifically because we know how important it is. Specifically because we know that it needs to get done. Specifically because it's important to the chief and the members of the 3rd Precinct. I felt it was important to move it tonight. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I move to perfect Bill number 340.
Mr. Chair, may I read the bill for perfection?
Yes.
Bill number 340, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Motion to perfect, is there a second?
Second.
I would just like to say, Councilman Tracus, I support your effort to move this bill forward. I know it's important to your district and to Councilman Dolan's. This issue has come before us really in the past 4 or 5 days. In essence, because the partnership, the economic partnership, which had been handling this issue, determined, I guess, a few days ago that the contract was about to expire and there was no means to execute it. In fact, even if there were means, I'm not sure that, as it was currently managed, that it would happen. So we're picking up the ball to try and handle this because this is an important issue to the county council. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion.
To make a comment on that, I appreciate you moving it, because we have talked about this. It's vital to the 3rd precinct police officers for sure, but to the community as well. I mean, the place they're in is obviously outdated and it's just deplorable, really. For concerns of the residents, though, just briefly, that I've been addressed with their concerns are moving the location. So in other words, people who think that it's close to their proximity to where they live, that's going to change things. People need to be aware that the police are 24/7 mobile. They're in their vehicles. They're not sitting in the station. This is maybe they're not sitting there waiting for a call to go out. They're out 24/7 in all the districts. So they're in your community, and moving the location won't affect any response time. It's just going to increase the quality of life for the officers and for the residents. It'll be better for the community as well. There'll be community engagement there and so on. But thank you for moving that forward, because it does need to move on no matter what other financing questions there are. It's an appropriate move. Thank you.
Bill number 340 is perfected.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Final passage.
Bill number 353, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold 353 and 353 will be held.
Bill number 271, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold 271 and 271 will be held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 295, introduced by Councilmembers Page, Walton Gray, and Tracus.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Yeah.
I abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
1 moment, please. Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 295. There are 5 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 295 is finally passed.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 296, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I move for final passage of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 296.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 296, there are 5 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 296 is finally passed.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 297, introduced by Councilmembers Page and Walton Gray.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Again, I am abstaining on all parts of the budget because I still am not comfortable with voting to approve this budget because I still have issues with the employees not receiving raises. I know that there's a plan to, there was legislation introduced tonight to give possibly a 2.8% raise, but until we can come up with something better than that for the employees who have not received raises in the past 10 years, I'm going to abstain from every part of the budget. I still don't see where this administration is being cut enough to give our employees raises. I mean, we have salaries that are out of the wazoo in the county executive's office. The problems with the economic partnership, the port authority, all of those things influenced my decision to not vote in favor of this budget. So I abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 297, there are 5 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 297 is finally passed, yes.
The one thing I didn't say is that I say I support my colleagues in cutting the budget. I just think that we could have cut it even more, in my opinion, because it's only right. This budget was out of control. It was a mess, a train wreck, as we've heard, and I just don't approve of it. So I'm sorry, but I support my colleagues, but I'm just abstaining.
Thank you.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 298, introduced by Councilmembers Page and Walton Gray.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 298, there are 5 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 298 is finally passed.
Bill number 299, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 299, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Bill number 299 is finally passed.
Bill number 300, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 300, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Bill number 300 is finally passed.
Bill number 301, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 301, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 301 is finally passed.
Bill number 302, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of Bill number 302.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 302, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 302 is finally passed.
Bill number 303, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 303, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 303 is finally passed.
Bill number 304, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 304, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 304 is finally passed.
Bill number 305, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of 304, 305? 305, that's what I thought you said. Move for final passage of Bill number 305.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 305, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 305 is finally passed.
Bill number 306, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 306.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 306, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 306 is finally passed.
Bill number 307, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 307.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 307, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 307 is finally passed.
Bill number 308, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 308, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 308 is finally passed.
Bill number 309, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 309, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 309 is finally passed.
Bill number 310, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 310, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 310 is finally passed.
Bill number 311, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 311, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 311 is finally passed.
Bill number 312, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 312, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 312 is finally passed.
Bill number 313, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Second.
Move for final passage.
For a second.
Yes, second.
Oh,
second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 313, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 313 is finally passed.
Bill number 314, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 314, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 314 is finally passed.
Bill number 315, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 315, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 315 is finally passed.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 317, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray? Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 317, there are 5 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstaining.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 317 is finally passed.
Bill number 318, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Abstain.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 318, there are 6 ayes and 1 abstaining.
Bill number 318 is finally passed.
Bill number 324, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of Bill number 324.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan? Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 324, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 324 is finally passed.
Bill number 325, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger.
I move for final passage of Bill number 325.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 325, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 325 is finally passed.
Bill number 326, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of Bill number 326, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 326, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 326 is finally passed.
We have no additional resolutions this evening, Mr. Chair, so we will move to unfinished business. Item number 1.
Hold on the order of business and that will be ordered.
Item number 2, First District.
Hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 3, First District.
Hold, please.
So ordered.
Item number 4, First District.
Hold.
So ordered.
Item number 5, First District.
Please hold.
So ordered.
Item number 6, First District.
Please hold.
And moving on to new business, Mr. Chair, we have 9 prepared orders this evening.
Some of these orders contain budget, or contain departmental, interdepartmental transfers, and in compliance with the new charter amendment, these transfers require approval of county council. And we have reviewed some of these that appear to have some urgency prior to the end of the year. There are some that can wait until we can have a hearing in the first week of January. But we'll try and process some of those transfers tonight. Go ahead.
I move for adoption of order number 1. Order number 1 is regarding the meeting, our regular scheduled meeting will resume on January 3rd, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. I move for adoption of order number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Order number 1 is adopted.
I move for adoption of order number 2, 3, 2 and 3. She
Any
said
discussion?
Second.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Before we vote, Mr. Chair, I want to state for the record that at your instance, County Councilor has offered us an opinion that the council can order the subject transfers by an order in advance of the council passing the ordinance to outline the procedures for future transfers. So, at least with respect to myself, my vote tonight is based on that opinion, that we have the authority to do so with respect to any orders that are voted on tonight. So I just wanted to go on record for that.
Thank you, and I know you've introduced an ordinance to address that, which we will discuss again after the first year. All in favor?
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
go ahead.
I just wanted to make a general comment on this. This is going to be a very important issue, and the ordinance that Councilman Tracus introduced, I think it's important that we give that very thoughtful consideration about how the county operates and what the departments need to function, as well as what we need, or you all will need on an ongoing basis. So I hope it's done, and I know it will be, with thoughtful consideration, because it has huge ramifications, I think, for how the county operates.
I think it will require some flexibility by the council and, a second look at the way some departments are budgeting currently. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Orders 2 and 3 are adopted.
I move to hold orders number 4 and 5.
So ordered.
So they won't actually be held, they just will have not been introduced for, move for adoption.
Okay.
It's fine. Let's keep them alive.
I move to adopt order number 6.
Second.
Any questions? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had a question actually on order number 5.
Okay, go back.
That deals with the permanent salaries for IT, is that?
Yeah, that got my
Is that-
attention too, and that's addressed in order number 2. It transfers for the same purpose. Permanent salaries is one of many purposes listed in the transfers of order number 2 and number 4. There should be adequate funds in order number 2 to cover
This one too?
permanent salaries, because it's a very small part of the need for that transfer.
Okay. So we don't need to move it tonight is my question, I guess.
No. I don't believe so.
Mr. Chair, can we ask who was the second on the motion to adopt order number 6?
Me.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Order number 6 is adopted.
I move to hold order number 7 and 8. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Right, okay. I move to adopt order number 9. Second.
This is for destruction of property. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Order number 9 is adopted.
This is-
Any comments by any council members?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just say, happy holidays to everybody. Have a safe and happy holiday. And thank you all for everything you've done.
And there's one other person I want to thank, who I didn't thank earlier, and that is Mike Chapman. And he is not in here right now. He snuck out, yeah, but he came back to help me out finish my last year, and he did a great job. In addition to that, Ian Harkwell also did a phenomenal job, and I was able to help many residents in the 3rd District because of their fine assistance. So I want to make sure I say thank you to him. And thanks to everybody here. It's been a wonderful experience, and I look forward to seeing what good deeds are done next year.
Any other comments?
Just thanks again to Pat and to Colleen. I wish I'd had a beautiful speech like Ernie did.
This came from the heart.
But I just appreciate both of you with the help that you gave me on the minority participation bill, as well as the last bill for the procurement. Both of you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everyone. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We'll see you in 2019. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.
That's a wrap.
There you go, 12 years.
Thank you.